So, Bandai has thrown 6 brand new starter decks at us.
That's a lot more than I expected, but welcome just the same.
And we're going to be opening them up for you guys. Today is going to be part 1, so we're going to open up starter deck 23, 24, and 25. And then tomorrow we'll have starter deck 26, 27, and 28 opened up on the channel.
Don't tease me, Les.
If you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that whenever we open up something, we like to give away something. So we are going to be giving away a starter deck to one of you guys. All you have to do to enter that giveaway is 1, like the video, 2, be a subscriber of the channel, and then 3, let us know what your favorite card or deck is out of the ones that we've opened up today. And speaking of giving away starter decks, we are holding a webcam tournament this Saturday where there's 2 full sets of the starter decks up for grabs. So if you guys want to join in on that or get more details on that, join our Discord. Link will be in the description down below and find the tournament info tab to find all of those details. All right, let's get started here with the brand new red deck, the Shanks starter deck 23. As you can see, they're continuing with the manga kind of binder stuff for the starter decks, which is really nice. And yeah, we'll crack into this and we'll have a look at all the cards that we get in there. We know what all the cards are. They're up on the One Piece website. They've all been revealed, but the exact quantities of some of the cards we don't know. So we're going to find that all out today. And as we slide into that, we'll see if they got anything extra in here. I know there's meant to be packs in here, but yep, looks like there's just the usual kind of starter deck, kind of playmat, rules, instructions, that sort of thing, which it comes in every single starter deck. We've got the deck itself, and then we do have 1 pack of OP11, which we'll save all the packs towards the end of the video. We'll pop them up to the side and crack them all open later on, but let's take a look at the starter decks. Starting off with Shanks. So this is a reprint of the OP09 Shanks, the one that's been running around in the meta there. Just a lovely new artwork there. So that once per turn, when your opponent attacks, you can minus something by 1000 power during the turn. So yeah, really nice. Now let's go in through some of these cards. So we start off the bat with a brand new card. This is Uta. This is a 6 cost, 4000 body, 2000 counter. The effect here, if you have a character with 10,000 power or more, you give this card in hand of -4 cost. So you can play it out for 2 if you have something big. And if we're thinking about Shanks, it's mainly going to be other Shanks. And then it is also a blocker. So it being a super rare, I assume we're going to have 2 of these. So you're going to be able to combo with Shanks, in particular probably this Shanks here as well. So this Shanks is a 9 cost, 10,000 body, no counter. The effect, if your opponent has a character with 8,000 base power or more, give this character -3 cost in your hand. So you can play this out for 6, and then you can play out this Uta for 2. So that's 8 Don you've used, and you've got 2 big bodies out, which is really nice. And then on play, if your leader has redhead pirates type or is a Uta, your leader gains 2000 power until the end of your opponent's next end phase. So for the rest of your turn and your opponent's turn can be buffed by 2000, putting your Shanks or your Uta leader at 7,000. So some of these cards here in the deck are obviously going to be supporting Shanks, but some of them also going to be going well in the red purple Uta as well. So let us know if you guys want to see any kind of deck profiles around these new decks with these extra new cards, these techs here. But yeah, Shanks super rare, so we're probably going to be seeing 2 of those. Yes, and I am skipping a bunch there. Moving on to another new card here, which is Ben Beckman. 4 cost, 5000 body, 1000 counter. On play, you may trash 1 card from your hand. If your leader has a redhead pirates type, KO one of your opponent's characters with 4000 base power or less. So not an altered power, has to be base power, which probably doesn't mean this card is the greatest. There's not a lot of things running around at that kind of power in the meta. Mainly going to be hitting searches or some low cost bodies. So probably not the greatest card to be running right there. We got 2 copies of those. And then we've got Monkey D. Luffy as another new one here. 1 cost, 2000 body, 1000 counter. Activate main. You may rest one of your Don cards and this character and give up to one of your opponent's characters -1000 power during the turn. So cost minusing this cards that do better than this, and you're always going to be resting this card. So things like maybe the Shank stage is probably going to be more effective. There's other things like Building Snake or other cards like that that can give you more power reduction. This card does have a counter, yes, and it is a Film Supernova and a Straw Hat, so it could be used in a bunch of other decks outside of Shanks. Could be used in the red purple Uta, which we mentioned before, because that can use some film searches. So, but yeah, a nice card, can be used in a few different things, but probably not the greatest to be running in Shanks. You do get a full playset of that. Next up, we have another new card in Yasop. One cost 1000 power, 1000 counter. Activate main. Once per turn, you give a rested Don to a character or leader. So basically like the Nami and the Koala. Just another copy of those guys manipulating some rested Don, which can be quite good, maybe not so good in Shanks, but yeah, another great option to have access to with some Don manipulation. And we've got a full playset of that. Now we're going into the cards that are going to be reprinted. So each of these decks are going to follow a similar pattern, some new cards and some old reprinted ones. So this is just a vanilla 5 cost 7000 body, 1000 counter in Howling Gab. We get a full playset of that right there. Then we also get a Bonk Punch. So this one allows you to play monster on play. And when attacking, you can gain 2000 power for the turn if you have a Don attached, so making it an 8k kind of swing. We get a full playset of that. And then we got a Hongo up next, 3 cost 3000 body, 2k counter. Rest this character if your leader is redhead type pirates, you give something minus 2000 power during the turn. So it's kind of like the Luffy, costs more, but does give you more power reduction, is also a 2k counter. So very similar in those effects there. And there's the monster that can be played out with the Bonk Punch. And then with Yasop, this one, it will buff your leader by 1000 power on play. And then when attacking, you can minus something by 1000 power for the turn. Get a full playset of the Yasop right there. Lime Juice basically stops things from being a blocker if they're 4000 power or less. Was is also a 2k. Once again, another reprint there. We got Lucky Roo, great blocker. We just seen a nice treasure rare in OPO 11 for that. On KO, if your leader is redhead types pirates, you can KO something with a base power of 6000 power or less. So yeah, pretty nice. Handy blocker. Another vanilla in Rockstar, 4 cost 6000 body right there. And then we've got the Searcher event. Look at the top 5 for a redhead pirates. Got a full playset of that. And then we've got the Don. So nothing too spectacular there towards the end. Shanks deck, an okay deck, probably not the greatest in terms of good support for Shanks. Some of those cards can be used. All right, moving on to the starter deck number 24, Bonnie.
6.5 hours later.
Got it open. We've got the pack set aside for towards the end of the video, but here, let's take a look at the new artwork for Bonnie. So this is the OPO 7 Bonnie. When your opponent attacks, you can rest it on to rest a leader or a character. Quite nice. But yeah, nice looking artwork on that one, actually. There we go. And then we're moving straight into some of the new cards, just like we saw with Shanks. So Kid and Killer, 2 cost 2k body, 1000 counter, is a split slash and special type. The on play is basically a search. Look at the top 5 for a supernova added to your hand. And the other effect is on your opponent's attack, you may trash this character to set one of your Don cards as active. So that can synergize nicely with the Bonnie effect of having a Don up, so you can rest a Don to rest one of your opponent's characters or leaders on attack. So yeah, you can trigger that, then trigger leader's ability. You get to choose the order of those triggers there. 2 copies of that could be used in some other stuff, like other supernova stuff, maybe some lore decks. Here we go into another big boy. So 10 cost 11,000 power lore and Beppo. Another split type with slash and strike. On play, you can rest one of your opponent's characters, and that character will not become active during your opponent's next refresh phase. Then if your opponent has 2 or more rested characters, your leader gains 2,000 power until the end of your opponent's next turn. So like Bonnie has a lot of good top end, which I don't know if Beppo will see, Law and Beppo will see much play in Bonnie. It is also a mixed type, so it can be used in things like Carrot. It does have a Supernova and Heart Pirates type, so it can be searchable in a few other decks there as well. You want to debate if you want to run this over Doflamingo, where you can stun 3 cards. This one you do get to rest something and stun something, whereas the Doflamingo you just have to stun things that are rest. But yeah, another option for some green top end right there. 2 copies of that. Now we move on to Capone. 2 cost 1000 power body, 1k counter, is a blocker. And then on play, if you have 6 or more rested cards, draw 1 card and trash 1 card from your hand. So this works well if you're playing Kid, which you usually will in Bonnie. You can play it out of Kid's effect, and at that point you're going to have a lot of rested Dons, so you can draw 1, trash 1, kind of filter some bricks that you may have. Bonnie does run a few bricks in this top end, so you can sometimes filter out the ones that you don't need. Some may be matchup dependent for you, so you can get rid of the ones you don't want, try to find the ones that you do want. But yeah, Another new card there. So we do get a full play set of the Capone there. Hawkins is another new card here. Another 2k counter, 4 cost of 4,000 body. End of your turn, you can set one of your Don cards as active. Now, green does have some cards that already have that kind of effect there, but is a 2k counter Supernova could be a searchable one that you might want to run over something else, but probably most of the time it's going to be used as a 2k counter, but might be nice to have a bit of a backup for that Don reactivation. Next we have X-Drake, so just 2 copies of the Hawkins. X-Drake's the next card we have, 5 cost, 5,000 body, another 2k counter. On play, if your leader is Supernova type, rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, then set one of your Don cards as active at the end of this turn. So another way to manipulate Don. You can kind of go all out in your Don using with Bonnie, restand a Don at the end of it, which is quite nice, while also resting some things to swing into, or rest a blocker so that you can swing into other things or swing into life. So not a bad option right there. Also a Supernova and a Navy, so a few things can search that out. Now we move on to the reprint. So we got Scratch Minnatopia, a 2k counter, basically was all going to be used for when you're playing Bonnie. The U-Rogue, so this is the one you probably run over the Hawkins in terms of that restanding a Don. So the blocker any return, set a Don as active. We'll get full copies of that. We got a Caribou, which is a blocker, buffs itself by 1,000 if you have 6 or more rested Don. We got the Caribou, which allows you to play out the Caribou, but they're not really seen in any kind of Bonnie decks right there. We have Bart, which is a blocker. If a character is rested by an effect, you can draw one, trash one. So can synergize with like the kid when it rests itself to play out something. Or if you're resting one of your searches like Julie Bonnie, you can trigger that effect to get some more hand filtering. So is an okay option. Luffy here from OPO7. If you have 3 or more characters, your characters with a cost of 3 or less other than Monkey Luffy cannot be KO'd by an effect. So can protect some of those little blockers right there, but probably not going to be seen in a Bonnie deck. Zoro, similar here. If you have 3 or more characters, this character gains 2,000 power during the turn. So not really used in a Bonnie deck. Could be used in some other things like a Zoro Sanji deck with some loads to ground buffing sort of stuff going on. We've got the Daimonic Aura 9 sword style, Azura Demon 9 Flash, sorry. This is activate main. Up to one of your leader characters gains 3,000 power during this turn. Then you may rest one of your characters with a cost of 3 or more. And then you can rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less. The trigger is to rest something with a cost of 4 or less. So just some resting stuff, which green is very, very good at. More pizzas, basically your searcher for supernovas right there. And then we go into the Don. All right, now we're moving on to probably what is my favorite deck out of these new ones, or one I'm most excited for, which is Buggy.
2,000 years later.
All right, open pack set aside. Let's look at the brand new artwork of old mate Buggy right here. So Buggy's kind of become a little pet deck of mine. Guys at Locals can attest to that there. We've had some success with some Buggy stuff, so excited to have some new support for Buggy as well. So for those that you don't know, Buggy is active at main. You rest 5 Don, trash a card from your hand, and play 1 cross guild type character from your hand. Doesn't matter what the cost is, which is pretty good. So you can play out 10 cost, 7 cost, 5 cost. I don't know why you just wouldn't play out the 5 costs rather than use the effect, but Buggy, nice new artwork. Let's go into some new support for Buggy. First of all, we have Crocodile and Mihawk, 8 cost, 7,000 body. On play, you draw 2 cards and you trash 1 card, and then you can play a cross guild type character with a cost of 4 or less from your hand. So a great way to swarm the board. Buggy has a lot of effects that do that. Not a lot to deal with 4 or less, so this deck does give us a lot of options to trigger that effect, whereas traditionally Buggy wouldn't have anything. The other effect is really nice, a bit of protection, which this deck did need a little bit of. Once per turn, if your cross guild type character would be removed from the field by your opponent's effect, you may trash 1 card from your hand instead. Now I believe as well, if it's going to be removing multiple cards, you still just have to trash 1 to save all of them if it triggers at the same time, but it is only once per turn, so they kind of have to remove twice to get something to remove. So super rare, just 2 copies of that. Another super rare that we have here is Buggy. So 4 cost, 1,000 power, 1,000 counter. Activate main, you may trash 1 card from your hand and this character. And if your leader is Buggy, you can play 1 cross guild type character with a cost of 6 or less from your hand. So this one is probably where the biggest debate is around if we want to run something like this. At this stage, I'm probably not super keen on running it in a buggy deck. We're definitely going to do some play testing to figure it out a bit more. But because your main kind of target from this is going to be the Mihawk, which doesn't come in this deck, unfortunately. That is the blocker that allows you to draw one, trash one as well. But yeah, that's probably going to be a main target if you are going to run this in a buggy deck. But we do get 2 copies of that. Lovely artwork of that too. Next, we have Alvida, which is a 4-cost, a 5,000 body, 1,000 counter cross guild. So it works with that Crocodile Mihawk effect we read not too long ago. The effects here, if you have 2 or more characters with the base cost of 5 or more, this character gains 1+ cost, which is really good because the big 10-drop buggy needs a full board or 4 characters with 5 cost or more when it's played out to not bottom deck itself. So that kind of helps trigger activate that effect, but can be cheated out off the new card we saw before. On play, if your leader's buggy, you draw 3 and trash 2, which is really good. Buggy, you want to have a big hand size because you're going to be trashing cards to activate your leader's ability. So Alvida does that. Basically a draw one, but you get to filter some stuff there. 2 copies of that in this deck. Next, we have Buggy, which is a new 2k counter, full cost 1,000 power. If you have 2 characters with the base cost of 5 or more, this character gains blocker and +1 cost. So similar to the Alvida, we're hitting that 5 cost threshold so we can make sure we can trigger our 10 cost buggy or stop it from bottom decking itself when it does trigger its effect. And your opponent's turn, it gains +5,000 power. So on your opponent's turn is a 6k blocker, which is very nice. We get a full playset of that, which is actually really nice to see. Next, we have Moji, another new 2k counter, 4 cost, 1,000 power, 2,000 counter. If you have 2 or more characters with a cost of 5 or more, this character gains blocker and +1 cost. So very similar to the Buggy we just read. The difference here is the on-K effect. If your leader's buggy and you have 3 or less cards in your hand, you draw 1 card. So this one is probably one I'd probably save more to be a 2k counter unless you're really desperate for a blocker, just because that other effect there is not super great. You're probably always going to have more than 3 cards in your hand unless you're really struggling, which is probably why you want to play this out anyway. And it is a 1,000 power blocker all the time, so it can be quite easily KO'd by a lot of things. We do get a full play set of that one right there. And now we're jumping into the reprint. So Alvida, 5 cost, 6,000 body, 1,000 counter. On KO, if your leader is cross guild type, which Buggy does, you can play a character with a cost of 5 or less from your hand other than Alvida. So you can play out a bunch of things in this deck because we are going to basically be running mostly that with this deck. Buggy, still a great 2k counter, probably going to be staying in the main list. 5 cost, 5,000 body, 2k counter. If you have a Buggy or Moji character in play, cannot be KO'd by battle. Really good because the promo Buggy is a card that you're going to be having out in most matchups, and that can be there's a bit of self-protection right there for the Buggy. Next, we have that 10-drop Buggy we were talking about before, the big boss monster of the deck. On play, place one of your opponent's characters at the bottom of the deck, and then if you don't have 5 characters with a cost of 5 or more, including himself, in play, you have to bottom deck himself. So that's why we're emphasizing that 5 cost, which those 4 cost buffing themselves to 5 is really good. Emojis, 2k counter. On play, you're going to search the top 5 for a Richie, and then you can play out a Richie. The Richie is a blocker, not really used in the main kind of list, and that Moji is probably going to not be in the main list as well. Probably swap it for one of the new 2k counters. There's Richie, the blocker, just a chump blocker. Mr. 1, nice vanilla, has a cross guild type that can be spammed out with a few things. And then we have got Mr. 3, the searcher for the deck. Look at the top 4 for a cross guild type, or a card that has Baroque Works, so you can basically search the whole deck with Mr. 3. And then we do get a reprint of the promo Buggy. Now, the biggest question was how many of these were going to be in the deck, and it looks like there are 4. It's nice to have the full art version of this. The only other way you had this was if you won the winner pre-release from the previous set. And we do get a full place of that, which is actually really nice. Cross guild, another searcher for the deck. Look at the top 4, same as the Mr. 3 for a cross guild type. Doesn't search the Baroque work stuff though. And we get a full place of that. And then we've got our Dons.
Is it time?
All right, now we're going to be looking at the 3 packs that we got out of this. I love it how Bandai is including some packs again in their starter decks. Always really, really appreciate that. We've seen some cards that have basically some alternate arts. We've seen some decks that have current set stuff there. We're back to the current set stuff. Let's see if we get any hits. We've got a Blue Hole. We've got a Yanji, an X-Drake, a Surame, a Nami. Okay, not a great start there. An Arlong, and then a Oven. Okay, Pack number 1, a dud. Pack number 2. Oh, this one might be a dud as well. No, don't be doing this to us. See, basically yellow back here. So we're going to be having another leader pack. It just means last pack magic. That's basically what it is. We got a Robin. You're just not my type. Kami. There's the Shirahoshi, a Brule, and a Carrot. Okay, last pack magic. Let's make it a good one. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for the other starter decks and join the Discord if you want to jump in on that tournament or future tournaments we have coming up as well. Tashigi, we've got a Shu, a Glorp Web, a Nico Robin, Ryobushi, Blue Hole, Bird Neptunian, Tony Chopper. Very good. This pack better be very good. Amaraki, and we got a hit in a secret rare Monkey D. Luffy. That's actually pretty nice. Rush card, definitely see some play, especially in the new big bad boy of the set, Blue Purple Luffy. There we go. There is a look at some of the new starter decks. As I said, tomorrow we'll have the rest of them. Stay tuned for that. Stay beautiful, and we'll see you all in the next one.